Hey everyone, it's week 34, the last week of our Tiki month, and as is tradition at 52 Cocktails, the last week is a wacky one. And this week, we're going out big. The Zombie is one of the most famous, strongest, most notorious drinks in Tiki. It's also a good place to wrap up this Tiki business because we're blending rums, bringing back falernum, crushing ice. Actually, this drink is all the things. In fact, it may be the most ingredients we've used in a drink all year. But a quick note, I'm gonna give you a lighter version that uses less bottles, and I'm gonna build the historical version here side by side so we can compare the two. You can decide which one you wanna build for yourselves at home. The lighter version is intentionally leaving out two ingredients, the 151 proof rum and the absinthe or Pernod. These ingredients are not wrong, they're part of the proper historical build, but they are strong. So I wanted to give you the chance to appreciate the balance of the drink before the overproof rum and absinthe overwhelm everything else. If you do have high proof rum and or absinthe at home, you are 100% welcome to add those ingredients to this drink as well and build the historical build. The Zombie has a long list of ingredients, and this could scare some people off, but the drink is not about the ingredient list. It's about the balance. More stuff doesn't make a drink better, but balance does. And the Zombie is really just a lot of small, careful layers that add up to one strong but properly balanced drink. But first, a bit of history. The Zombie was created in 1934 by Don Beach, the man who basically invented Tiki. The legend goes that he mixed the Zombie as a hangover cure for a customer that had a big meeting that day. The guy came back days later to complain that it turned him into a total zombie on the trip, and that's how the drink got its name. The drink was so strong that Don capped it at 2 per customer, which of course only made people want it more. Don was famously paranoid about his recipes. He numbered the bottles behind the bar, wrote his recipes in code, so even his own bartenders didn't really know exactly what they were pouring. For example, in the Zombie, he had a bottle named Don's Mix or Don's Secret Mix, but no one actually knew what was in it. This secret code actually held for decades, and the true recipe was practically lost until the cocktail historian Jeff Berry spent years chasing down old bartenders and a notebook of encrypted recipes and finally cracked it in the 2000s. So the drink we're building is a true classic, and the recipe was actually almost gone forever. But what's in the drink? Well, let's go step by step, because once you see that each one is a thin, specific layer, this long ingredient list stops being so scary. The rums are the heart of this drink. The dark Jamaican rum will bring out the funky, overripe banana character, while the gold or aged rum sits underneath that and will give you some body caramel warmth. In the full historical version, an overproof 151 comes in to bring the heat. Each bottle covers something the others can't, and together it becomes one big complex rum flavor. Lime is the acid, and as always, this is the lever or the balance to counter all of the sweet ingredients in the drink, and that's often why lime is paired with rum, as rum already has a sweet base. Don's Mix. This secret bottle was quite difficult to reverse engineer because it was always mixed together in the bottle. Turns out it's a 2-to-1 ratio of grapefruit juice and cinnamon syrup. Grapefruit will give you a slightly bitter, tart feel, and cinnamon brings a warm baking spice vibe, which I don't think we've had yet this year. You could buy cinnamon syrup. I personally couldn't find any where I live, but this is a very easy syrup to make. It's just basically simple syrup, 1-to-1 simple syrup, sugar, water, throw in some cinnamon sticks, heat it up, steep it for a few minutes, strain, cool, label, enjoy. Falernum is the bottle we used last week, and again, that gives us that sweet, spiced, lime, ginger, clove vibe, and a bit of the grenadine, which we also used in the last week, will give us some sweetness and color. A dash of Angostura, which I forgot to take out. A dash of Angostura will ground this drink, and it often is used as a lever to tamp more sweet ingredients and will generally give a drink a bit more of a responsible approach. In general, it's a little bit like a lime where you could use it as a lever if you just want to tamp down sweet drinks. A dash of Angostura for the adults in the room. It's worth taking a moment here to realize what's not in this drink. We've leaned heavily this month on things like pineapple juice and orgeat and coconut cream, and maybe you'd expect some of that tiki sweet punch for our grand finale, but the zombie is not interested. I think an important takeaway in mixing drinks in general is to not be tempted to just throw all of the ingredients that you can, but better to understand the nuance of each ingredient to know which to intentionally choose and which ones to intentionally leave out. Whoosh. So we got 2 rums, lime, grapefruit, cinnamon, falernum, grenadine, bitters, absinthe. It's a lot of bottles, but again, each one is a small pour and it's doing a specific thing. None of these are meant to stand out on their own. That's the secret of this crazy drink. So let's build. So like I said, I'm gonna build side by side. I'm gonna put it in 2 highballs. If you do have a tiki, you can definitely use that. And again, one is gonna be the simplified zombie and one is gonna be the historical level up, exactly the way Beach Bum Jerry decoded it. It's actually not exactly the way Beach Bum Berry decoded it because I don't have all the exact bottles, but I'm gonna do my best. I'm learning with you all, and let's see if we can make this crazy zombie. Okay, the first drift or riff that I'm kind of going off the historical build is that I'm gonna make them both in shakers, but just note, the historical build was flash blended in a blender. So if you wanna be, stay true to that, you are more than welcome to do that. For the sake of simplicity here on camera, I'm just gonna build them both in shakers. So we have 1.5 ounce of gold or aged rum. That's gonna stay in both of them. And I do have an actual aged rum here. 1.5 ounce. 1.5 ounce. Next, we got 1.5 ounce of a dark Jamaican rum. The best I got is a dark Captain Morgan rum, but I actually did fat wash this in coconut oil for a drink that we did a few months back. So not ideal in the zombie, but I feel like it'll make it better, and I do think also, honestly, it's a good tip just in general for at-home bartenders. I'm not like all the other YouTubers, okay? I'm learning along the way, and I do think it's important to not get too hung up. You do the best you can. Sometimes you do need to improvise. It won't be the exact flavor profile of the original drink, but we're gonna have fun experimenting and we're gonna do the best we can. Now, our first kicker for the historical build, we're gonna add a 3rd rum, which ideally is a 151 proof Demerara rum. I don't have that bottle, but I do have an overproof white rum, but because it's white, it's gonna be a bit punchier and less sweet than the Demerara rum. So I'm not gonna do a full ounce. I'm gonna do 3/4 of an ounce. I'm gonna do 1/2 ounce to 3/4. I'm gonna do 3/4. I want that kick. That historical build is clearly part of the overproof kick. All right, so we'll do historical in the black shaker, 3/4 of an ounce of our funky Jamaican overproof. All right, I totally poured too much, so I guess we're kind of going with an ounce. Again, it's not exactly the same. It'll be a bit punchier, but hey, it's 4 o'clock somewhere, right? All right, in both of them, 3/4 of an ounce of fresh lime juice. In both of them, we're gonna do 1/2 ounce of Don's Mix, Don's Secret Mix, which again is a 2-to-1 ratio of grapefruit juice and cinnamon syrup, which smelled so good when I was making it. All right, we got 1/2 ounce of falernum, which we should have already. Okay, 1 teaspoon or 1 bar spoon of grenadine. One dash of Angostura. Oh, this one's not open, hold on. 1 dash of Angostura. Ooh, that's a bit of an aggressive dasher. Okay, and in the historical build, it calls for 6 drops of absinthe or Pernod. So I have a dropper here. I have some absinthe that I put into a small jigger. And we're gonna try and do 6 drops. This is a very big dropper, so there you go. That's 1 already. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we're gonna add ice to our shakers. Okay, we're gonna add pebble ice to our glasses. You just pretend that this is good pebble ice. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that, and we can always add more pebble ice after the fact. Should we do a double shake? If I don't look confident, it's because I'm not. Okay. Here goes nothing. No, terrible idea, terrible idea. Ooh, that's cold. Okay. All right, that smells so good. We're gonna double strain. Again, this is our modded modern version. This is our Don's historical build. Oh, you're getting that grapefruit, grenadine, Angostura colors showing up here. Garnish is a sprig of mint. Give it a slap. Pretend that that's a sprig of mint. I actually forgot the mint. So this is what I had growing outside my house. All right, look, I mean, you know, I think it's actually kind of nice as a garnish. And now we could add a bit more pebble ice on top. Yo, that looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna try the lighter version first. Let's see what we got. L'chaim. Wow, that is so good. I do think we need a straw. I don't have straw. I forgot to mention we're in a new set. Okay. Pretend that this is the beginning, like, oh, as you can see, this is a new set. It's all good. Bit of grapefruit. Surprisingly doesn't taste very strong at all, but this is our minus the overproof. So you're essentially talking about a split base, somewhat comparable to other drinks that we've done, but still 2 1.5 ounces, generally stronger than most drinks that we have. Super balanced. Super balanced. I am not getting anything overly sweet, even though we have the grenadine, we have the velvet falernum that also brings some sweet. I'm not getting any hint of overly sweet, and also the Angostura, the different rums, I'm not getting any of that punch or kick in the back of the throat. But let's see what we got with the original. Salud. Not too crazy, definitely a drink to respect because it does actually taste quite good and it doesn't taste super strong. A bit more sour, a bit more bitter, but again, I'm using the white overproof instead of a sweet overproof, so I imagine the original may actually lean a little bit more towards the subtlety of this first one, but they're both quite good. I do think I'd be interested in the proper Demerara overproof to actually taste the difference. But if you don't like absinthe and you just want to go a little bit lighter, our modded version is absolutely delicious. You still get the nuance of like that grapefruit, cinnamon is like very much on the back end, but it rounds it out quite nicely. And I would say this is like the perfect amount of sweet. It just has like a sweet undertone. But both of these drinks are really, really surprisingly balanced and actually really quite delicious despite packing a punch. Whoosh. Okay, variations, a few easy directions. Once you've got the defaults down for a brighter, rounder drink, you could swap the grapefruit for orange juice or a different type of juice. For a more island funk, you can lean into a higher ester Jamaican rum, which is kind of what I did as part of your base split. And if you want a more gentler, sippable version, you could keep it to a 2-rum build and lean a little bit more on the gold rum, which gives you something a bit closer to a tropical sour. If you can't track down a Jamaican rum, any dark or aged rum will do the trick. And I think in general, just splitting the rums will give you the general vibe. As you can see, you experiment with it. I do think in general, especially as you're starting out, all of these split-based rums are the undertone, the foundation of the drinks that are a bit more subtle. You're getting a lot more of that cinnamon and grenadine and other type of punchy things on the front end. So as you graduate, I guess, in your sensitivity to the flavor profile, you will find the nuance of the split-based rums a bit more prominent, a bit more easy to identify. But whatever you have, I think will be fun to experiment. That's the whole idea. And I do think a 3 split-based rum is a great way to experiment in general. Whoosh. So that closes out Tiki Month. This was a lot of bottles, but we got through it. We started with the Mai Tai with some rum and citrus, and we picked up passion fruit along the way, and we learned how to crush ice, and we learned how to swizzle and how to mocktail, and oh yeah, how to garnish a planet, and how the zombie is our final tiki lesson in you could have a ton of complexity, but when every ingredient has a specific job, the balance just works. Next week, we leave the Tiki Islands behind and we start a brand new month with a brand new spirit. But for now, this is a good place to be. So thanks for being here. And until next week, happy mixing.